thank you again. And we're very curious, actually, when growing your market center, you said 644 agents, which is huge. What was your top 3 sources of growth for you in sense of agent count?
So we have a few lead sources that we kind of lean on. It kind of depends on which type of agent. So we have it broken out, and I know Keller Williams language, we say R1, R2. We added R0 to ours, so that way we know the difference between a brand new agent who's just now licensed versus an agent who maybe hasn't sold something, but they're coming from another brokerage, because the way we handle them is just a little different. So our R0s, our brand new agents, those come. We work heavily with the local real estate schools. And then on my growth committee, so on just my new agent attack, which is our offensive, our strategy, is we work with the real estate schools. We send agents that I run through Train the Trainer, which is Train the Presenter, which is one of our Keller Williams University's courses. They go through that, they present to the group to qualify to do their presentation at the real estate schools to represent us. And we grade them on their public speaking skills. And so if they get a 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, then they're recommended to be on the team that goes and does presentations, which is their opportunity to build their growth ship. So that's what we do. So we train up the agents to be able to go do those presentations. We do at least anywhere between 2 to 3 times a month. We go to go do these presentations. And now we have a good system around it that basically myself, my assistant team leader, we don't even attend anymore. I haven't even been to the real estate schools in probably 3 or 4 years now. So, because we have that fully leveraged with our agents. And we have about 22 agents on that team, and they take turns about every 3 months. So
how
about
many
once every
agents
2
do
to
you
3
have on
months.
that team? Sorry, how many
22.
agents do you have? 22, wow.
So we have 22 agents on that team. Total on our growth team, we have about 40, it's either 43 or 44 agents total on our growth team. So, but that's just for our new agents. And the other part is we, for brand new agents, we host a career night at the Market Center every Monday night, except national holidays. And it's the same thing with that. Now we're relaunching our team, right? Our career night team, but normally have about 4 to 5 people that give the recruiting presentations for career night in our office for our agents to come and bring. A lot of times it's, I have a friend that's thinking about real estate. Often they have a client who's thinking about, they're working with a client buying a house, and that client's thinking about getting into real estate. And so we offer that every Monday night. So that way they have a place where they can just bring their friends to come hear about getting into real estate. They bring spouses, team members. And so we always have, it's never a big group, but always in between 4 to 7 people, just about every Monday night. So that's another lead source on the R0 front. And then the third thing that we do for the R0, the brand new agent, is the realtor board produces a list. They make public record for everyone who's applying to get a real estate license in Texas. And so we're able to extract that information. And then I send that out to 4 of my agents who are on the team, and they call to set appointments. And if they get the appointment, then we make sure that those people get added to the growth share.
Okay, so your agents are the ones that actually call these people, and these agents are actually from your growth team, right?
Correct.
When we say growth team, are we talking about your ALC?
No.
Okay, just a growth team.
Yeah, it's any agent in the office. So to be invited to join the growth team, you have to have recruited 1 person to the Market Center the previous year. If you don't recruit someone to the Market Center in a year, then you don't get to be on growth team next year.
+1, okay. Wow.
Very good model, very structured, huh?
Yeah, that's very different.
Well, what we do is I want the agents to have the opportunity, especially for the brand new agents. I get a couple of wins out of having the agents recruit the new agents to the Market Center. They basically pick up like a mentor. Someone will watch out for them and look out for them, help them as they come out. That's their initial friend in the office. It's very important that as the team leader, that I am not the connection point, especially for new agents in the office. The cappers, the producing agents, that's different. But for new agents, I don't want to be their source of connection to the market center. I need them to have an agent that's a friend that they can rely on that will help them. And that's why I want my growth team to be the people that recruit the new agents in the office.
Okay.
Wow.
That's great. What about your R1s and R2s? Is there a different thing you do for them?
Yep. Yeah. So now R1s is the next level. I have 3 people that are on I call my leadership bench, meaning they've raised their hand. They're interested in potentially being a team leader one day. Not that they're necessarily ready to, but they're just interested in. And so I have those people work on my R1s. And so we basically will, each week we'll have a conversation. We target, if I get intel on a certain, brokerage or brand that I know that they're struggling, or there's agents in that office, and they're not selling any real estate, or they're not happy with their performance or production, then we go after the R1s. And then also I have outside, they're not technically on the growth team, but I have 2 team leaders that run teams, real estate teams, and they're looking to add people, and R1s are really good team members. And so same thing, if I have intel, like there's a brokerage that they had to change up their broker, their broker left, they hired a new person, the agents aren't responding well to this person. So what I'll do is I'll pull the roster of that office and I'll give it to everyone on essentially my R1 team, which is 3 of my growth team members and then 2 of my team leaders that are actively recruiting.
Yeah, from growth team and 2 from team leaders. Wow. And what about your R2s?
R2s, I do personal. So that's all I recruit now. It's all I have time to recruit. So, so that's as you could probably guess, when a market center of 644 and you gross recruit over 200 agents a year, like you can't do it yourself if you wanted to, So for me, I have to leverage everything out. But my R2s I do myself. So myself and my assistant team leader. So I have an assistant team leader, and that's all we do is we work on the R2s. And she works more on individual agents in the market center and recruiting individual agents to join, and I work more on teams. So
she's individual and you work on teams. Okay.
So as a team of team leaders, there are two of you guys, right? As far as I understood. Yeah. You
Correct.
and your assistant team leader.
Correct.
Of course, with the help of that growth team and with the support of growth ALC committee, you are grossing around 200
Yes.
people, right?
Yeah, we did 198 this year. We had a low recruiting year this year, but normally we're between about 210 to 220 a year in gross recruiting.
Normally. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Wow, there are going to be lots of ahas in the end of.
Oh yeah. I wrote so many things down on our first question.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's go with the second question. I mean, when we specialize on growth share, how do you use or utilize Command or the technology platforms of Keller Williams as a tool to promote the growth share tree in the Keller Williams system?
I don't necessarily use Command to promote it. What we use it for is 2 things. One, we use it to invite recruits to events. So we have a smart plan that whenever there's maybe say like a regional event, a training event, family reunion, etc., we have a smart plan set up in there that invites essentially our database of recruits, that invites them to join. And so we have that. So we use a smart plan for that. And then the other thing is when they join, new agents have a smart plan of here's the 10 things you basically need to get done joining Keller Williams. You need to go to the realtor board, get this signed up, pick up your business cards and yard sign in a week, and show up on this date for your first training class for Ignite, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's actually very interesting because I've never used commands for the agents that I have already recruited into the market center.
Okay.
So yeah, that's something very new to me. Yeah, when they join, you have smart plans automatic for the agents to tell them the things to do, the to-do list, right?
Yeah, think MREA model. MREA says when you capture a lead and convert a lead, you should put that lead on an 8x8. We're basically just doing the same thing. We've captured the lead, and now once we have, is we want them to receive something for 8 weeks, once a week,
Definitely.
of what they need to do next. Especially for new agents, because they have so many questions.
Definitely,
You
yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
it's leverage for you, your agent services, MCA, whichever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow, that's great. Okay.
It's a very, very best way to increase the retention
Mhm.
by the new joiners. Yeah, we can use command as such a tool to promote the first 90 days, the first 30,
Yeah, and
90.
you bet. And if you think of, I mean, you know, we overthought it a little bit too much there at first, but really it's literally like you make a flyer. Here's what needs to be on the flyer of what needs to be done in these next 8 weeks. You put some links in there that they can click on, that they can go to, whether it's a website, the online calendar they can view, whichever. And then that's it. And just email that out. And then what you do is you send a text reminder to check their email for more information, you know? So
Mhm.
that's why I say, don't overcomplicate it. We tried to overcomplicate it and make the smart plans do all these things. And we were having issues making it work and all that. And so we're like, well, look, the email portion of it works, no problem. We had issues with some of the texting features. And so we just did that. And then that way it just made life easier for us.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you. Well, is there any kind of the list of activities, so-called, that you're running in your market center to grow the mindset of the growth share for the agents?
Not necessarily across the board to all of the agents. We focus heavily on the growth team. We pardon this expression, I kind of have this whole deal where I want, you have to make people the cool kids. So my growth team, I make them the cool kids in the office. So, because everybody wants to be a cool kid. So that the whole thing is the growth team they get access to things that everybody else doesn't get access to.
Like what?
Like we'll have a top 20% event where I'll invite the top 20%. We do a big one every quarter. The growth team comes early. And I usually do something a little more special for them. They, you know, like they get first in line at breakfast. They get the best seats. Like if we have reserved table seating, I'll reserve tables for them and, you know, along with ALC. But I treat my growth team just as important as ALC.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Since you have a growth team and an ALC, what's the big difference? I mean, what's the main difference between your growth team and your ALC that looks at growth?
So ALC, now the one thing that's a little different than what we would normally run ALCs to do is we normally expect ALCs to also be the growth team. And my viewpoint's just a tad bit different. Because for so many years, I've been attempting to get all of my ALC members to actually be committed to growth, and they never really are, and it disrupts the overall effectiveness of ALC. And there's nothing worse than when you ask someone to step off the ALC. It's hard on them. It's hard on the ALC members. So instead, what I do is they have the option to join for growth. They certainly get a lot more accolades and rewards for joining the growth team. But if they don't, everyone else basically everyone in ALC essentially has a job. They lead a tribe. That's the word we use. They lead a tribe in the market center. So sometimes they have to go create one. If they don't want to slide into an existing tribe, they create one. So like we have 2 new tribes this year that are specifically focused around marketing to the school districts that we participate a lot right around our office. And they're leading a group of people to go get involved more at the school district to basically bring more marketing and exposure to our brand. And so I was like, okay, cool. Here's the roster of people that live in these communities. Start calling them, get together, go have breakfast with them, bring them together, and that's fine. As long as they're creating engagement and bringing agents together, that's what I expect ALC to do.
Okay. Well, actually, what about well, you said you didn't actually, but the importance of the growth share tree. How do you actually set that mindset in your market center?
So what we focus on is when we teach on the growth share / profit share, what we teach on is we talk about it as an investing class. So whenever we're talking about investing, which I speak on investing in the office at least once a month, maybe more than that. I have it. That's basically that's kind of what I bring to the table is I talk about people's money and how they're basically building wealth with their income. And so we always end up having that conversation because the growth share model is probably the most simple passive income strategy that people have access to. And I literally just run it up against the stock market in terms of how much money you would need to have in a mutual fund, IRA portfolio, anything like that. On average, if you made $1,000 a year off of growth share, for example, so nothing crazy, but $1,000 a year off of growth share, it'd be the equivalent of you having anywhere between $25,000 to $30,000 sitting in a retirement account. So the question is if you earned an additional $1,000 a year passively, not as an expense, but as sheer passive income that goes into an investment account, what does that look like 10 years from now? So like at this point, I've been with Keller Williams 7 years. My kids' college funds are funded now because of my growth share. Their tuition, at least.
Okay. Yeah, so this is actually the fourth question. Actually, it was this also answers that. This is how you encourage or underline the importance is by giving examples and telling them that in investing class, right? You said.
You bet. Well, and the other thing, my agents would tell you this. The other thing that I always tell them is that their growth share opportunity is not for them. It's for their family, and they're robbing their family if they don't give it to them. Because if their family knew what they had access to, their family would be upset with them for not taking advantage of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So.
Okay.
Yes, you have already answered our fifth question as well, but let me ask that question in another way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything specific that your ALC running to promote growth share model at your market center? Do they have a special task or anything running especially by them?
No, I mean our growth team in particular, and we have 4 ALC members that are on the growth team, and when they have their growth team meetings, they lead those now. I pop in basically to do some scripting with them, so that's essentially my contribution. Is I go in to actually just role play and do scripting with them on making recruiting calls. But outside of that, their biggest thing that they promote is they're looking to bring people into the growth share or the growth team. So they kind of recruit members to the growth team. And that's part of the reason why we have a lot of people doing it now. And so that's their job is to do that. When I started the growth team, I had 7 or 8 people on it. And then as I started leveraging through my agent leaders, they're the ones that made it so big. So that's why we have so many people a part of it now. So, but that's their job is to recruit agents to it. So it's not necessarily a blanketed promotion. It's more we want to invite you to join the club, and this is what our focus is, and this is what we do together. And if you get this and you want to build this for your family, then this is the group you should be a part of.
All right. Well, another question is, have you ever, we've been talking about gamifying everything the last year in Mega Camp and FR and everything. So have you ever done anything disruptive or gamifying activity, which has actually had a positive effect in encouraging your agents, your ALCs, or your growth team in this case, to create or even expand their growth share trees?
So yeah, we've done a few recruiting blitzes. So like I'll go, we haven't done one in a few months now that I think about it. But what we would do is we'll invite everybody in the room. I'll cover coffee, breakfast. Everybody will come in who's basically on the growth team. And even if you're not, but you want to help recruit and you want to add people to your downline, if you show up, I'll essentially kick it off. I'll model a few calls. I'll make calls myself, let people listen to about 4 or 5, and then we'll turn over some names and then we all just go. And then we have a bell that we ring up at the front. And so if you set an appointment, you just go up and you ring the bell, we high five everybody, and then we put marks on the board to see who's first place. So we make it a competitive at the moment. And the whole thing is, can you beat me?
Can you beat the team leader?
That's it.
It's a great challenge. This is a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nobody's beat me yet, but I have one guy, he came really, really close, really close.
Really?
So,
you should make him the assistant team leader then.
I know. That's funny.
So yeah. What if he beats you? Is there any reward or anything?
Well, that was the thing. Nobody had ever beat me before, so I never got that close. So I went ahead and I gave him a gift card anyways.
Yeah.
And yeah, but we did decide that next year, that when the next time we do this, that we were going to get one of those like a championship belt, like the wrestlers have and UFC has. That we're going to get a belt and basically give them a belt, for being, the recruiting champ. So.
Wow, that's great. That's a very good example, actually.
Yeah. And you can create a lot of energy around setting appointments. Getting the recruit in, again, that goes back to, what you guys are talking about next, which is follow up. And that's the harder thing. Getting the appointment is not that complicated, but getting the follow-up, that's the challenge. And getting them to join. The conversion is the tough part. Yeah. But so with the agents is, the agents can get you an appointment all day long. And that's where you can have some fun with it and they can get some excitement around
it. How do you run such an activity? How often do you run such an activity? Is it once in 3 months or every month?
Yeah, maybe every quarter. I mean, I think last year we did it twice. Mainly because we've been a little kind of behind on some things, and then obviously 2020 we didn't do any of it because we were at home most of the year anyways.
Yeah.
So 2020 we didn't, but prior to that 18, 19, we did probably about 3 times a year, mainly because for us, like right at the beginning of the year, a lot of agents move brokerages. And so for me, we have like recruiting seasons, and recruiting seasons is January and September each year. Mm-hmm. And so like I like to blitz in January and September every year.
I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have been doing a lot of great things, actually.
Well, I mean, I will tell you that's, as any team leader watching this, if what I'm saying seems a little overwhelming, because it's like, oh my gosh, how do you get all that stuff set up? 8 years. It takes time. It's system by system by system. You can't put it all in place in one shot. You got to pick one. And that's why the growth systems are the most important, because, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. You will be in great relationship with some of your top agents and they will still leave you. You will do everything possible to keep them. They will grow businesses. They will do everything as far as the value that we provide. We'll give them everything. And they will hug your neck, tell you that you're amazing, you're the best leader that you ever had, and still leave you. Yeah. And so you have to just know that that's going to happen. So that's why you have to keep recruiting, so you can just keep replacing.
It's just a number game, right?
It really is, because, it's a numbers game because we're dealing with people and there's too many variables with people.
You're
Sorry,
back.
I hit the wrong button.
I hit the wrong button. Back.
No problem, you're back.
One question about the last question, actually, one more question about your gamifying activity. approximately how many agents do generally participate to such events?
We'll have, the agents are a little intimidated by the phone blitz. So we'll have like maybe 7 or 8 that will show up to do it.
I see.
So not as
Good
many.
number.
So yeah, I mean, I'm pleased with it, but when you know how many people you have on your growth team, you'd hope you'd get more than that, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's okay. They're intimidated to make calls out loud in front of other people, and it's okay. It takes a certain breed to do that. And it also takes a certain level of competitive individual. Not everybody's competitive. And
Not everyone can be a team leader, Dustin.
This is true. This is very true. Yeah, very true.
It's not just about making the call, you know. There's a lot of things about being
That's
a
right.
team leader.
That's
Yeah,
the
there's
easy part, actually.
you have to be
Yes,
just a little bit
exactly.
crazy.
Just a little bit.
You got just a little bit crazy.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
All the team leaders are crazy. That's
Just a little bit, you
who
know.
we are.
Just a little bit.
So true.
Right, great.
true.
Well, then, yeah, you've also answered the next question already. So I'm going to get to the last question. And
Sure.
in 2021, how much growth share did you generate in your market center?
Ooh. So we did, I was looking at total, the office we did $935,000 in profit share. We call it profit share in the States. So we did 935,000. So, which was a record for us.
Oh, yeah.
So, and basically ironically, that number, we had our whole top 10 list of our growth share people in the office changed. We had kind of the same consistent agents in the office that were always in the top 3 for growth share. And all of my top 5 in particular were all different. And the guy who's usually number 1 was number 6 this year. And it was specifically the people on my growth team, because we've been focused on this for a couple of years now. And so they're finally starting to see that result kick into place, you know, because that's the thing, is it takes a little bit for you to really start making money off of it. But man, every year, once that thing starts, man, it just keeps, you know, I mean, mine has doubled. My personal one has doubled every year for the last 4 years. It didn't do a whole lot right for the first 3 years, but every year since, it's doubled. So it's kind of exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So
There's a
but
huge potential.
Sorry, I'm curious about one thing. I know I've asked all the questions, but one more thing.
okay.
Why did you decide, because you do have an ALC in the Keller Williams system, we know the importance of ALC, and that there's a growth team also on it within the ALC. Okay. Why did you decide to have another team which is responsible for just growth besides the ALC?
Well, because when you lead a market center, there's more to leading a market center than just growth, right? So,
Right.
I mean, so what I needed people who were committed to the market center, and not everybody was going to be committed to the same thing. Not everybody's going to have the skills to do the same thing. So like, for example, you're going to have some fantastic, like I've got an ALC member right now, and she actually took over. She's a former event planner for Marriott Hotels. Okay. She basically plans our monthly team meetings. So, and she's built a team of 4 people that help her plan this. So now my agenda's completed. All I've got to do is tell her, I need to make sure we talk about this, 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 and this on the agenda. She'll find people to do that. I have people who are fantastic at doing presentations on the ALC. And then I have people that are horrible at presentations on the ALC. But then one of my ALC member, my finance committee chair guy, put him in front of a group of people. Everyone's asleep in 1 minute. But yet, put him in a finance committee meeting. He can tell you where our expenses went, where they do. He reports back to the agents. He's so good. He's so smart. So it's just a matter of, what skills do you want on the ALC? For me, I need a variety of skill sets, because I need all the help I can get, because my market center is so huge. And it might be different if I'm a young market center and I'm trying to really get off the ground. I might need I have 17 people on my ALC. That's even more than what even Mo Anderson recommends to be on ALC. It should be no more than 13 according to Mo. I need 17 because I'm also 2 or 3 times the size of the average Keller Williams Market Center.
Oh yeah.
So that's why, I would probably say, each market center is going to be different. And so I know that's what I need specifically. And I need this, what is on the ALC is I have 4 people that are committed to growth, and we consistently have that conversation. So it is still a part. So I would want to make sure every team leader heard me say that it is still very much a part of our ALC conversations.
All right. Okay.
But in terms of, is this an expectation that everybody bring me 2 leads a month on the ALC? I don't hold them to that expectation. What I do hold them to is agent engagement.
Okay. All right.
And are they leading a group of agents in the office and showing care and support? And so the whole thing is, if they're not doing either of those, then they're not going to be on ALC.
Okay. So your ALC mainly concentrates on your agent engagement, and your growth team concentrates completely on growing the market center.
100%.
Perfect. All right.
Because that way you've got everybody's full buy-in.
Right.
And ALC, when you're doing ALC selections at ALC clinics and all that, everybody, they have good intentions. They want to grow their downlines. They want to help recruit. It's just when you hit March the following year, it typically falls off if they're not really committed to it. So that's why I just created a whole separate team that was just committed to growth, that I knew I could count on all year to be committed to it.
All right. Okay.
Dustin, you have a great structure, it seems so, and it has inspired us a lot. Actually, hope one day, or as soon as possible, we will, or we can arrange such an organization like the growth team besides ALC.
Oh yeah.
And
Sure.
you just mentioned your market center had generated around $1 million, like $35,000 as growth share earnings. And it seems you're holding so many records in terms of agent count, growing, and blah, blah. Is there any inspiring agent, or the ones in the top 5 list? Like, how many agents do they have on their growth share trees? I mean, just to give us an example with a very large scale of market share team leader mindset.
Yeah, so one agent in particular, and this is kind of part of my R2 strategy, is like, for example, I closed down a Remax office. They signed their lease over to me. So I have a satellite office that used to be a Remax office. And it's because I recruited the most influential agent in that office. She wasn't the top producer, but she was the most influential. And so when as I was recruiting her over, I said, listen, we can work this out very well if you will help create conversations. All I need to do is I need you to send text messages to the person you'd want me to talk to, make an introduction, and text me as well. If you'll do that, I'll meet with them and recruit them. We'll put them all in your downline. And it's exactly what we did. So she did that. And so not only did we bring over, I think she has 8 cappers in her first line right off the bat, just from moving everybody over. But now those people, we did the same thing with those people. So right away, in just under a year period, we put 27 or 28 people in her downline.
Wow.
Oh.
And so the whole thing, but you have to think in that way, and you have to structure it to where when I'm having conversation with an R2, that, and I use that now as my example of, if we were to bring you over, who else do you know in this market center that you'd like to talk to? Because here's what we did last time. We put 20 some odd people in the downline, and right off the bat, the following year, after we cap managed everybody and all that, the following year, she made like $10,000, in her first year, right off the bat. And so it's like, if you can put those deals together, you can build big growth share for people right away. And then those people still keep recruiting people. So that was the whole thing. So she's become one of our top people in growth share now in the office, simply just because we stacked it correctly when she came in.
Right. So it's all just strategy and planning.
It is just having a good, clear
Great
plan.
reason.
And and what's tough is when you're the team leader, it allows, it's like, okay, well, how do I think of these things? Well, quite honestly, when you get yourself leveraged and you no longer recruit new agents or even R1s, and all you do is work with R2s, it's amazing what you come up with.
Well, you have time to think, Dustin.
Who
You
knew,
have time
right?
to think. That's the main
Yeah.
point.
That's it. So
You
Wow.
need to establish a growth team, Simge.
Oh yeah,
Our
definitely.
market
This, I mean, you're
on
very
the way.
close to that because you're up to 300 agents now. So yeah, but yeah, growth team. It sounds great.
That's a
Sounds
great
great.
idea to utilize, actually.
My biggest aha for the day: growth team. Definitely.
well,
Perfect.
and make sure your growth team, what really helps them to help them do the math on financial planning for their family. Right. So like for example, if I'm building a growth team, my first meeting with them, the exercise I have them do is I have them plan for college, university, retirement, whatever it is that they want to earn passive income off of. I have them do the math and do the math just on growth share alone.
Oh yeah, definitely. If they can see that picture, that's when they actually go into action, right?
And that's the thing is it's not for them. The money's not for them. They're planning as if they're not here on the planet anymore.
Right.
And this money is paying them, because that's
Perfect.
actually the unique factor of it, is that the fact that it's inheritable. Like that's no one else does that.
Oh yeah,